Hola mis amores, ¿cómo están? I'm doing fine, thank you for asking. In today's video, I'm going to do my September wrap up, and then I'm going to go into my October TBR. September. Yeah, September was eventful. I only read 3 books. I mean, my main goal was to read 3 books, but I only read, of the 3 that I was determined to read, I only read 2. So first, I finished Neon Gods, and I rate this a 4 out of 5 stars. Let's talk about it. So, Neon Gods, it's a retelling of the love story between Persephone and Hades. The writing was good. I was entertained. I finished this within like 2 days. Point of the story is plot, really good. Storyline, really good. Characters, really good. Mythology, terrible. Sucks. What the hell? I think because I am a Greek mythology nerd, especially when it comes to Hades and Persephone, I know too much that I guess I critique it too much. So if we're basing the book out of basically plot line, story, characters, writing, 5 out of 5. But as a whole, 4 out of 5. Being that the world building sucked. It confused me. I was like, what? Like, what? If you don't know anything about Greek mythology, perfect. You're not confused. You don't know anything. Awesome. But if you know too much, it's just a little confusing. And you're just like, no, that's wrong. So let me explain. So basically, the premise of the story is that Persephone, well, first of all, there's no magic or powers or anything. So the original gods are dead. So their names are passed on generation to generation. And it's basically the title of the god or goddess is basically a political status. So for Demeter, she's the goddess of harvest. So Demeter dies, and then I believe her daughter becomes the new Demeter. And so basically Demeter is the goddess of harvest. So in this book, it's like modernized, which is dope. But in this book, basically Demeter is in charge of food distribution, and she makes sure that everyone in this world is able to obtain food and afford food. That's her job, and that's really it. There's no powers, there's no vines and flowers, and no, it's that. Another thing that confused me was that Demeter had 4 daughters, and in the original Greek mythology that I remember, she had Persephone and I believe another child, but I don't know too much about that. And so in this book, Persephone has like 3 other sisters. She has like 2 older sisters and 1 younger sister, and then one of her sisters is Psyche. And if you know the story of Psyche, it's Psyche and Eros, which is the son of Aphrodite. I'm giving you a lecture on Greek mythology. Okay, so basically there's like little things that confuse me, so that's why I was confused with the world building. But overall, I do recommend this book. You should read it. It's really good. If you don't know anything about Greek mythology, it's perfect. You will not be confused at all. And if you know a lot about Greek mythology, I still recommend it. I had a good time. I was still thinking about it even like while I was not reading it. It's really good. It's really addictive. You just want to keep reading. It's really good. I love her writing, and I am interested in reading other of her other works. She has like a series that I'm pretty intrigued to try out. So yes, really good. Recommend. 4 out of 5 stars. Cool. The second book I read was Ariadne. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. The book was really good. Also, I read this via audiobook, so I was listening to it. Audiobook was really good. I was very into the book, and it was a good experience. I read this book audio and off. Like when I had time to like sit down and relax, I would physically read it. And when I was like cooking, cleaning, working out, I would listen to it on audiobook. basically 3 out of 5 stars. It's about Ariadne. So basically, she is the wife of Dionysus. He is the god of wine and like partying and stuff. Basically wine. So what happens is that she has a brother. She's a princess. She is a princess. I forgot what island, but she's a princess. And basically, her dad, is he Midas? No, Midas is the one that will touch and become cold. Whatever. Her dad is evil. Like, he is messed up. He is cruel. And for punishment, Poseidon basically, there's 2 sides. Some people say that he forced his wife, and other people say that he made his wife like kind of insane. Basically, his wife ends up her mother ends up having a half bull, half man son, and it's called the Minotaur. And he actually had a name, but whatever. So the Minotaur, and he's like very animalistic and stuff. So they make a labyrinth, and she helps Theseus escape the labyrinth, and then he basically like he leads her on, so she's believing like, oh, Theseus likes me, like he's gonna marry me, whatever. And there's a dog barking, and he's not gonna be quiet because he barks all day. So anyways, yeah, so basically Theseus, like, he's like, oh, let's escape together, and then he leaves her in an island, and this island is where Dionysus finds her, but basically she gets led on. And the whole premises of the book is her having very insightful thoughts but being a pathetic character. Let me explain. So basically the book is like saying it's supposed to be a feminist retake of a tragedy. So it's a tragedy, it's a retelling of a tragedy, so I know it's gonna suck, like the ending's gonna be sad. And but basically she's telling us, the readers, that, you know, humans pay for the prices of these Greek goddesses and gods, and that women usually pay the price for the things that men do, that men sometimes do things without thinking, and the consequences are paid by women. And an example is her mother, and other women as well, like her little sister as well, which she dies as well. In the end, she dies, and then she becomes a constellation in the sky, and that's Dionysus' way of resurrecting her legacy. And it's like she has so many moments to confront people. She had moments to tell these men how she felt, and every time she tried to, like, I understand there's moments that you want to stand up for yourself, but you can't. But it just gets frustrating. And then there's so many moments that, like, she has like an inkling, like she has intuition, she has a gut feeling, and she doesn't follow it. And then it's just like, girl, you're not a badass character. It just sucked. And I think it's because I'm so used to reading books with strong female leads, and like, or they're like weak, and then as the story progresses you have character development and they become like badass. And her, she's just pathetic throughout the whole book. And I think maybe that's why I was pissed at the end. But it was a good book. Would I reread it if I'm like sad? If I want to read something sad and get depressed, yeah, I would totally reread it. Do I recommend it? Yeah, I recommend it. But just know that it does talk about assault a little bit, not in detail. It talks about postpartum depression as well. It has a lot of heavy things going on, and I liked how the author, she made you feel it. And obviously if I was like mad and sad and going through so many emotions while reading it, that shows that the author is a good writer. So I do recommend it. I don't really think I would reread it, like, yeah, I want to reread it again. No, but it was really good. It was a good time, and I recommend it. The third book I finished in September was The Silent Patient. I give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I buddy read this with one of my close friends. Shout out to you. You know who you are. And it's complicated. So basically the book is about this woman. Her name is Alicia. Is it Alicia? I be forgetting sometimes. Her name is Alicia. And basically she kills her husband. She shoots him in the face. Was it 5 or 6 times? But she shoots him in the face several times. And then after she is, you know, taken custody of, she's just silent and she doesn't speak ever again. And then this psychotherapist, he basically wants to help her speak again. He wants to see her side of the story. He wants to know why she did it, and his mission, his goal in life is to make her speak again. And that's the premise of the book. I give it a 5 out of 5 because it is kind of predictable, and we do have an unreliable narrator, which is, I don't know, it's very interesting to me. And it is a psychological thriller, and I am into psychology, so that interests me. And there are a lot of quotes here that just hit home, that make you think like, wow, like I kind of feel this way. I honestly have no critiques besides the fact that I would like to know more. At first I was rating this a 4 out of 5 because I didn't like a character. There's a character named Katee, and she is the psychotherapist's wife, and I thought she was really annoying. Like, I couldn't stand her. I can't stand cheaters. She cheated on her husband. She was like really annoying, very like narcissistic in a way, like very self-absorbed, and everything was about her. And I mean, you kind of knew she was gonna cheat on him. It was an okay book. What I really liked, it had a little bit of mythology into it, but which I loved. So I think that, like, and I also like at the end, basically, his wife, she's very like lively and happy, and then at the end she becomes silent. Once Alicia starts speaking again, Katee starts losing her voice, and you can see that these two female characters start switching roles, and the ending is insane, and it's really good. I totally recommend it. I think I would reread this, obviously not now because like it's very fresh into my mind. A few months or a year, I think I would totally pick it up again. That was my September wrap up, and now for my October TBR. I want to read, so I'm gonna do the same thing, whereas like these are the books I really want to finish, and these are the books that, depending on my mood, like I said in my last video, I don't want to be immensely strict with myself. I'm a mood reader, so everything really depends on my mood. Therefore, I'm just giving myself options of like, this is what I want to read. So first, these are the books that I for sure want to finish. So I want to finish Dracula by, what's his name? Bram Stoker. Sprayed Edges, The Bookmark. And what I really like about this is that as a printed signature, what's it called? Digital signature, and it's like his signature. I mean, obviously, like, it's not like real, but like it feels awesome. Okay, so I am actually reading this. It's October already, and I started reading it. I'm in the middle of chapter 28, and there are 30 chapters, so I'm almost done, and it's a good time so far. Like, I'm really surprised that I liked it, because a lot of people don't like this classic. And honestly, this is not the first vampire book out there. The first like work of literature about vampires is actually The Vampire, which I want to audiobook after this. So yeah, I'm audiobooking and physically reading, so I'm alternating, and it's a good time. The next book I am determined to finish is These Hollow Vows. I have little tabs on it because Fairy Loot was doing readathon, and it was about this book, but it was during the first week of October. But I was doing other things, so I wasn't able to like participate. But these are the pages that they were reading every day, like the page layout. So I'm just gonna follow them and do it like probably next week. And I'm excited because they say that this book is for people that like Holly Black and Sarah J Maas, and they're like one of my two fave authors. It's kind of like Cruel Prince, and it's like kind of like Court of Thorns and Roses, because I believe her mom was a human that ran away to marry a fae, just like in Holly Black's A Cruel Prince. Her mother was married to a fae, but then she left him for a human. So we have that, and then basically, I don't know if it's her aunt, but it's like one of her family members has her like as an indentured servant, and it's her and her little sister, and basically they give away her little sister to the fae because they have like a tithe I don't really know much, but then she ends up going to save her sister. It's kind of like a Court of Thorns and Roses, where like Feyre, she basically says I'll go, like she was willing to go with Tamlin instead of her sisters and stuff. So it's kind of like that, and I'm interested. I don't know if I'm bugging or not, but like look at this. Does he not look like Tamlin and he looks like Rhysand? And she looks like Poppy from Blood and Ash, but these two, they look like a Court of Thorns and Roses. Like that's Tamlin and that's Rhysand. I totally dig it. I totally dig it. The next book that I'm really determined into reading is Kingdom of the Wicked. So the second book came out in October, and I actually bought it, like I pre-ordered it via a bookish box, and they have like a special edition thing, and it also comes with the matching dust jacket. And basically this is about like a girl, and I think she's like a witch or something, and she has a twin sister, but I think her twin sister died or something. So basically she's trying to talk to her twin sister or something. That's all I know, is that she's like a witch and that she has a twin sister, and then there's romance, and we dig that. And I've been eyeing this book for a while, so I finally said, you know what, I'm gonna get it, because the second book ships out October 25th if you're in the bookish box community. So that's the shipping update that I know, but I'm super excited about reading this. Now for the books that's like, if I'm in the mood, I'll read them. So I want to read Dune. This was in my last video. This was in my September TBR, and I was back here. The movie comes out on HBO Max October 22nd. So I want to read it, and this is a bind up, so it's not really that thick. It's 3 books in one. So I think the first book is like, you know what, I'm lying, it's kind of thick. So this is like the first book, and then these are the second and third. So I want to read at least like the first book in this one, so I can have an idea about the movie. I don't know, I just want to read it. And then like I can't even find the audiobook for it, because like my library doesn't have it because it's not available, and then Scribd doesn't have it, Libby doesn't have it. I don't have Audible because I have Scribd. I'm not that bougie yet, you know, and I can't find it on YouTube. And yeah, so I have to like physically read this one, which is fine, but every time I try to pick it up, I'm just like, yay, and then I just like read a page, and then I'm like, yeah, Dracula. I want to read this, but I don't know if it's gonna happen. That's where we stand with this book. Okay, next book. I want to read Serpent and Dove. I do have the second book, Blood and Honey. And yeah, look, it's pretty. It's recommended for those that are into Sarah J Maas. They say that Shelby Mahurin, she writes a lot kind of like in the style of Sarah J Maas, and also her like writing influence supposedly Sarah J Maas. Like she loves Sarah J Maas, so we love that. Well, I like how Sarah J Maas writes. Like I love her books. She's one of my fave authors, even though she is controversial. I like how she writes, and supposedly if you like Sarah J Maas, like you like her books and stuff, she's also an author that's similar to that like atmosphere. So I'm excited. It takes place in the medieval times in France, and basically witches are like being hunted down, and like Louise, she basically is a witch, but she's an undercover witch. Like she hides her identity of being a witch, and one day something happens and she ends up being like forced to marry a witch hunter, who I think his name is Reed, and like it's an enemies to lovers romance, and I love enemies to lovers. So yeah, it's enemies to lovers. We love that. We love the banter. Okay, I want to read it. I don't know if I am, but the last book is The Maidens. I actually started reading this. I'm on chapter 13, and I'm not into it yet. He's the same author of The Silent Patient. That's why I got this book, and that's why I picked it up. And basically it's about a therapist. She's a group therapist, and she doesn't really have a good relationship with her father. She's a group therapist, and she was married, but her husband died, so now she's a widow. What I like about the beginning is that she has memories of her husband, obviously, and then she recalls like how he died and stuff. You can feel the grief. He always wore these like these running sneakers, and she still has them, and like every time she looks at them they remind her of him. And like the way the author Alex like writes emotions, like you can feel it. Like in The Silent Patient, you can feel the anxiety, you can feel the thrill, and in here you can feel the mourning, you can feel the grief, you can feel the sadness. So basically she has a niece that she's very close with. So one day after one of her group therapy sessions, her niece calls her and tells her, hey, like turn on the news, I think my friend is dead, like I think my friend was attacked and killed. And then she's like, okay, like I'm gonna go up to you, like I'm gonna go to you. That's where I'm at right now. And she meets like a creepy like guy on the train, which is very relatable. If you use the public transportation. So we have that, but that's where I'm up to. So what I've learned from what other people have said, like the synopsis, is that basically she's at the campus of her niece's like college, and there's this professor that I believe he teaches Greek mythology, and there's a group of these female students of his that follow him around, and they only wear white, and they're called the Maidens. And if you know Greek mythology, maidens mean like untouched, pure, virgin women. They follow him around and they're like obsessed with him, and like he has like a certain manipulating control over them. The main character is like, I think it was him, like I think he killed this girl, because I'm up to the part where she's talking to her niece like, what happened, what was the last thing that your friend told you? And then the niece is like, I think a professor killed her. So that's what I'm up to. They say there's a plot twist within a plot twist, so there's like a double plot twist, which I'm really excited for. I don't know what's gonna happen. I kind of believe the creepy guy that was talking to her has something to do, because why you mention him, you know? I'm gonna read this too. So that is my October TBR. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you kind of sense the spooky vibes, and until next time.